Well, music was a big part of it, for those that may not know. That's what I do for a living and have since 1975. So I played sports. Sports was a big deal in my life as a young man. And that was sort of my passion. I played through Little League. And in fact, a fact is that Alma Withers, who works for the George Washington Boyhood Home, her husband, Billy, coached me in Little League. And so we could, Alma and I have known each other for years, but music became really important in my life because I thought, because I was exposed to it. Every time we would come and visit my aunts and uncles, I can remember as a little child going to my grandfather's place and he would play fiddle songs. They would get on the porch. The big thing socially for us growing up as kids and was every weekend we'd go to either one of our aunts or uncle's house. We'd have a dinner. After the dinner, and family members would gather, talk. They were farmers, we would they would have beautiful gardens and things, and they'd shell peas and all these things that you don't see in America these days. But back in those days, that was a really important thing. People lived off the land, and so I was exposed to that early on. But then after you'd have a nice dinner and everybody would talk and everything, guess what? They'd break their instruments out. And then next thing you know, you'd play and you'd sing. So as a small child in Stafford, I was exposed to that. And it never left me. It's in my soul. It's deeply rooted into who I am. And I didn't know, as I got into my teens, I didn't kind of know that I would end up playing music full time. But somewhere, around my junior year in high school, I thought, because I started being in bands and playing in front of the public, and people, they seemed to like it, and I thought, well, maybe I have a chance here, and so my confidence got better, and I started learning, and then when I graduated, by that time, I had been in regional bands and then graduated to the next level, national bands, and traveled not only beginning locally and regionally, but then I started traveling nationally and started recording records, started the whole deal of being a performing artist on a national, international basis. And of course, I grew up in bluegrass music, which again is deep heritage here in this part of the world in Stafford County. Music was a big part of people's lives. That was part of how it was an outlet. They work hard all week long, and then on the weekends they'd break out the instruments, and that's what I was exposed to. So when I graduated from high school, I started playing music. So socially, that is really deep rooted from my heritage in Stafford County, and it all goes back to that. So one of the things I'm really proud about sitting here with you today is to be able to come back home, on the 4th of July, here at George Washington's Boyhood Home, which I have watched this Boyhood Home develop to what we know it as today, and I'm really proud of it because it's, again, something that means a lot to me. So, for all of those reasons, I try to get back home a couple of times a year, and my home is in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been down there now 13 years this past July, and I miss it. I miss coming home, but it is what it is. You have to go through life and follow where it leads you, and of course the musical path for me is now, I've been blessed, Kendall, to be able to play music on a high level and a professional level and travel and record and do all the things that we do as artists. But I miss Stafford County. I miss coming home. I miss my friends. I miss my family. But so it's really cool to be able to come back and reconnect with all of that. Development, I would say that probably be the first thing. You know, what do they call that, Kendall? Do they call that progress? I don't know what they call it, you know, but I do a song called, that I recorded on a recent project, called It's a Good Town to Die In. And basically the message behind that song is where you come from and you grow up as a small child. And in my case, I played sports. And, you know, we'd go to school, and then we'd come home, and then we'd play in the neighborhood. And then we'd, whether it be softball, you know, at 5:30, your mother would come out on the porch and say, it's supper time, and all the kids would disperse and go to their respective homes. And as you grow in life and as you move forward, you know, you get so caught up in your own professional career for all the right reasons, that as older you get, you start reflecting. And so this message in this song is about you gravitate back to where you come from and the memories that you have as a young person. And the memories that I have in Stafford County is the simplicity of how the world, how it was at that time in the you know, late 60s and early 70s. And you know, nowadays you have iPads and iPhones and computers, and all the young people are just like, there's no interaction anymore, you know, just sitting here talking to you. It's like everybody's staring at their phone. You know, you go to a restaurant, what do? They stare at their phone, you know. There's no sort of just simple interaction. Now, you can apply that to development. And Stafford, you know, is probably, what, in the top 10 counties in the state that has, you know, followed that development progress. And when I was a kid, you know, you could go around this area and all the farms and, you know, off of I-95 and the traffic, and, you know, it's just so much of it now. But the cool thing about it is there's still pockets to where, like for me, going to White Oak, again, in Stafford, off of 218, even though there's pockets of development, it's still, you're able to go to some areas where my family's from and still get that feel from how it used to be. You know, it's just like right here at the George Washington Boyhood Home. I am so proud of seeing how the foundation has come together to keep this sort of how it you know, was back in his day. And, you know, I didn't even know that all of this was going on until I reconnected with Elmer, and I had a chance last year to come and see this. And I was so proud because it's preserving the heritage. So how it's changed, you know, Stafford is like no other, it's no different than any other county in the United States, you know. It just depends on where you demographically are located. But I wish sometimes, and I guess I'm showing my age, that it would go back to how it used to be. And there's areas, but I think growth is probably, you know, the thing that comes to mind.